Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the Frontline with Joe and Joe Pisillo and Joe Rossinello. And once more, let us go into the breach. Joe, quick video. Just got to show this. We haven't picked on our friend Klaus. We haven't picked on our friend Klaus Schwab in a long time. So let's play this. Hey, Trudeau makes an appearance in this, Joe. You'd be happy.
And I have to say, when I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin and so on, they all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. Mm-hmm. But what we are very proud of now is the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Prime Minister Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more, half of this cabinet are actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
And that's true in Argentina too. Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's true in Argentina as well.
It's true in Argentina, and it's true in France now. Mm-hmm. I mean, with the president, who is a young global leader, but...
This is unacceptable news.
Here's the thing, I want your comments. Who the F is Klaus Schwab to say that we can't go back to the world we want? That he's the one, and him and Trudeau and these young people, and you heard what he said, we get into their cabinets and we shape their cabinets. People are going to be angry. You're effing right, I'm angry. You don't rule me, Klaus Schwab. You have no authority over me. You're taking that authority. You do it through fear. That's what you did with COVID. That's what you're going to do moving forward. You do it through climate hysteria. You're going to do it again with COVID. And you just can't stand the fact that I want to live my life without you breathing down my neck. That's the bottom line. Joe, all the movies were true. All the stereotypes with the bad guys in James Bond and Blofeld and all the bad guys that control things, the New World Order. He's telling you this is the New World Order. You can't go back to the old world. We are going to enforce the new world on you, and you'll like it.
It's real. I mean, it's not conspiracy. If you look at BlackRock, if you look at Vanguard, if you look at the WEF's board, who's on it, how it's being enforced, if you look at ESG policies, if you look at how governments are controlling people, it's real. And here's what people don't get. The soothsayer is convincing you they're for you. They're going to put you on the plantation of the universal income, and they will control you there forever. They will use digital IDs. They will use medical IDs. Mm-hmm. They will control you. What you do with your money, how much money you have, and you will be in the situation that you are in from the day you're born until the day you die. And guess who will not be in that situation? Him.
Right.
And that's what people, to be honest with you, if anything, he's preserving his power and his position, and he's putting you in the corner and giving you a crumb. And the thing that troubles me the most is that there are regular people that don't see through it, and they eat it up and they vote for it because sadly they're looking for something bigger than themselves, and they're latching on to the bait that they're throwing at you because they understand you better than you understand yourself.
So there's a few things in my adult politically conscious life that I regret beyond belief. There's a couple things. One is voting for George Bush. Okay. Looking back on it, I tried to defend him. I don't know why, maybe because I was just younger. But I regret voting for George Bush. Who I really regret voting for is this FACO right here. This guy who claims that his version of the Republican Party is something that I should embrace. And if I don't embrace it, well, he's just Joe. He's as guilty as the Hollywood liberals who detest people like you and me. And I hate the fact, I hate it, Joe, that I voted for this guy. Listen to this.
Well, there's no question but that the Republican Party today is in the shadow of Donald Trump. He is the leader of the greatest portion of the Republican Party. It's a populist, I believe, demagogue portion of the party. Look, I represent a small wing of the party, if you will. I call it the wise wing of the Republican Party. And I don't believe we're going away. I think ultimately we'll see a resurgence and come back into leadership of the party. Look, my wing of the party talks about policy and about issues that will make a difference to the lives of the American people. The Trump wing of the party talks about resentments of various kind and getting even and settling scores and revisiting the 2020 election. What are the policies for the future? And my party is only going to be successful getting young people to vote for us if we're talking about the future.
Here's the thing. Young people aren't going to vote for you, Mitt Romney. And thank God he said, I think he announced he's not running for Senate again, because you represent the problems in this country. Your policies mirror the Democrat policies. They're just a little lighter. They're Democrat light. It all represents elitism. It all represents basically the institutionalization of the government, where it doesn't represent the people. They're all establishment. Your policies have done nothing for me, Mitt Romney. Nothing whatsoever. Donald, I could demonstrate for you, if you like, Mr. Romney, why I voted for Donald Trump. And while I'll never vote for anybody like you in the Republican Party again, I will not vote for Mike Pence. I will not vote for Nikki Haley. I will not vote for another Bush. I won't vote for another Mitt Romney. I won't vote for any of them. You're right, Mr. Romney. The majority of the Republican Party is populist, but I'm going to hand it over to you, Joe. What did he say was populist? It's demagoguery. That means that if you get a guy like Donald Trump, who came in as an outsider, who actually gives a damn about what I believe and wants to put that into practice, wants to apply that's demagoguery. It's not actually caring about our lives and the things we go through on a daily basis. And no, heaven forbid you say that Donald Trump actually gives a damn about the American people. But if you do want to reflect a more populist view, you're demagoguing. Joe, my brains are about to explode when it comes to Mitt Romney. So I need your help badly.
More gaslighting. Why wouldn't every party be populist? You see, this is what I don't understand. They talk about populism as if it's a bad word. Populism just means it represents the people. Isn't that what the country is about? I'm not interested in the representation of the ideas of my betters, the elites. I'm not interested. They don't care about me. They simply don't. And
Right.
As far as the elites on the other side of the aisle with regard to the Democrats, they don't care about you either. They don't represent you either. Get that through your head.
Right.
So, like, ultimately, I don't know why every party should be populist in nature, representing the people, the voice of the people. But the country doesn't work that way anymore. It simply doesn't, Joe. I'm going to tell you right now. I look at how these guys operate, from Bush to all they are talking heads for a larger agenda. They're like salesmen. They're actors. You don't need a president. Joe Biden's presidency should show people this. You don't need a president anymore. You need either an actor or a salesman. You need a representative to a greater idea, a greater pot of money. That basically is all you have to do is soothe the people to sleep, soothe them and distract them. And basically the ideology marches forward. That's what the president is. And that's what, to be honest with you, I think they've been for quite some time. The better salesman, the better actor becomes the president.
Right.
And he does not represent you and me. And that's why I'm voting for Donald Trump. Is he perfect? No. But at least he is talking in some semblance to the average man, because Mitt Romney sure isn't.
Here's a signal from Kathy Hochul, the supposed governor of the state of New York. Listen to this, and you tell me, Joe, if you aren't just a little bit nervous about what's coming.
So it doesn't matter if you've already been vaccinated. Take no comfort in that. Thank you for getting vaccinated in the past, but that is not protecting you today. You need to know that. You don't have the immunity built up over time. So as the virus evolves, this is where our scientists and researchers and companies have to get ahead of it. The virus evolves so must our response.
Here's what. First of all, there's no science behind what she just said. She's full of bull doo doo, as my elderly or my Uncle Nicky used to say. Okay, she's full of bull doo doo. Is this woman? There's no science behind that. She's laying the groundwork for the new COVID tyranny. We don't care if you got the vaccine. We don't care that we told you to get the vaccine and you'd be fine. We've changed our mind. And we're going to say that the scientists and the researchers told us to do that because we want to do this to you again. Joe, it's coming. And I don't know how on earth people don't rise up in some nonviolent way against this and really resist this because, Joe, it's coming. Fauci's signaling it. She's signaling it. It's going to be all over. It's going to be 2020 all over again. I do think there's going to be more resistance this time. But, Joe, we're in for a rough go. And it's because of people like Kathy Hochul.
Well, a couple points. A lot of money at stake here, Joe. Pfizer gets a lot of money. Moderna gets a lot of money. Don't discount that they're paying lobbyists to basically talk into the ears of politicians. Every commercial on Fox News is Pfizer.
Yeah.
All of them. Pay attention. I mean, like, people, open your eyes. There's money involved in this. That's point one. Point two, it could very well come back. No question. I do think, though, that there'll be more resistance because, let's be honest, no matter where you stood on it, or even if you stood in the middle on the vaccine, they contradicted themselves up and down the block. Honestly. And that's just being fair. They were all over the place. It's a silver bullet. You need the mask. You don't need the mask. The vaccine doesn't stop the spread. It stops the spread. It was all over the place. Right. It was simply all over the place, whether you were for it or against it. So ultimately, I think there'll be a lot more resistance. And the last point I'm going to make is this, Joe. Honestly, Joe Biden is in office because of COVID. If there was no COVID, the likelihood that he would be president is probably very small. That's, I think, a fair statement. Joe Biden won by 100,000 votes in 3 states. The difference of 3 states, 100,000 votes, he is the president.
Right.
If this happens again, lightning doesn't strike twice. It may actually have the opposite effect, Joe.
Well, let's
because
hope.
Ultimately, you can force people through economic violence to do things, sadly, but you can't force them to vote for you, even through mail-in ballots. And you can't, because ultimately when someone goes into the box or even in their home, you can't force their pen.
Right.
And that is what I'm talking about. It could have the opposite effect where people could just be like, no way. And here's the cross the political aisle stuff. You're keeping my kid out of school.
Right.
I'm a Democrat and my kid can't go to school. Or this, I'm a Democrat and I can't work. I'm a bus driver.
Right.
And you're not letting me work.
Right.
You just lost their vote. And I'm going to tell you this, Joe Biden, and there's a lot of people out there, not just me, but who say the vote comes down to 100,000 votes again in probably 3 to 6 states. There is the difference of victory. 100,000 votes in 6 states. You lose a few of them. You lose.
Joe, we got to leave it there. Thanks for joining us at the Front Line with Joe and Joe. Stick around for more great content.